Earth had always believed that the vastness of space was its greatest ally. The human race, small and young compared to the civilizations scattered across the universe, had always been cautious, but nothing could have prepared them for what was about to happen. On a quiet morning, the calm of Earth's atmosphere was shattered by an alarm that echoed through every military base and communication station worldwide. The world's top scientists and military leaders scrambled to their stations as huge, unknown ships appeared on Earth's radar. The ships weren't from any country, not even from any known species. They were larger than anything Earth had ever seen, and they were heading straight for the planet. The ships, massive in size, hovered silently as they cut through the sky. Some were shaped like long, dark blades, while others resembled enormous spheres, pulsing with unnatural energy. The sheer size of the armadas left the humans in awe and fear. It was clear these were no peaceful visitors. The Earth had never seen a force like this before. Inside the command center of the Earth military, General Karen Lee stood frozen before the main screen, watching the terrifying sight unfold. Her fingers trembled as she signaled to her officers to prepare for any action. "We need to know who they are, what they want, and how they got here. Fast," she ordered, her voice steady but filled with urgency. The alien ships continued their descent, massive shadowy shapes with glowing red lights running down their sides, blotted out the sun. Earth's best satellite images showed that these ships were not just one or two. No, these were armadas, hundreds of ships, far beyond what humanity had ever dared to imagine. General Lee's mind raced. Was this a peaceful arrival? A trade agreement? A first contact? No, the gut feeling inside her told her otherwise. Earth was not prepared for such an overwhelming threat. The communication channels were flooded with incoming transmissions, but there was no understanding of what they were saying. The language was foreign, as alien as the ships themselves. Within hours, governments around the world made their move, dispatching their fleets into the skies. But the ships didn't respond. They just hovered, waiting. The air was thick with tension. Then something unexpected happened. From the depths of Earth's military bases, a report came in about a secret ship, the U.S. Titan. The Titan had been under construction for years, hidden away from the public eye. It was equipped with advanced weapons and technology so secretive that even most of the military personnel hadn't known it existed. The world's leaders, now desperate for any hope, decided that the U.S. Titan would be Earth's last hope. General Lee ordered its immediate launch. As the U.S. Titan began to rise from its hidden dock, humanity held its breath. No one knew if this ship, with its cutting-edge technology, could stand up to the might of the alien invaders. But it was their only chance. The U.S. Titan was Earth's first and last line of defense. And as the warship ascended into the sky, Earth's first real battle for survival had begun. The alien armadas were still hovering above Earth, their massive ships casting dark shadows over cities below. Governments around the world had mobilized, sending their military forces to intercept the invaders, but the situation seemed hopeless. No one knew what the aliens wanted, and worse, they didn't know how to stop them. Inside Earth's command center, General Karen Lee paced back and forth, her mind racing. She had seen the reports, the images of the alien ships, and she couldn't help but feel a knot tighten in her stomach. The armadas were far too advanced, and Earth's forces were nowhere near capable of fighting them off. The world was on the brink of destruction. But then, the report she had been waiting for arrived. The U.S. Titan had been launched. The Titan was unlike anything the world had ever seen, a warship built with the most advanced technology Earth could muster. It had been a top-secret project for years, hidden away in a remote military base. No one had truly understood its power, until now. The U.S. Titan was Earth's last hope. As it left Earth's atmosphere, the warship cut through the skies with incredible speed, faster than anything humanity had ever created. Its sleek, dark exterior shimmered in the light, and the sound of its engines reverberated across the sky. For the first time in days, there was a sense of hope. The ship was ready for whatever lay ahead. The human crews aboard the U.S. Titan were a mixture of the best pilots, scientists, and engineers Earth had to offer. They knew that they were facing the greatest challenge humanity had ever known, but they were determined to succeed. As they prepared to engage the alien forces, they reviewed their mission: protect Earth, defend humanity, and, if necessary, fight to the very end. General Lee watched from the command center as the U.S. Titan made its way toward the alien armadas. It was a sight to behold. The ship's sleek silhouette gleamed against the vastness of space, and its massive weapon systems were primed and ready. It was everything humanity had worked for, all in one ship. Then the moment arrived. The U.S. Titan entered the range of the alien armadas. The aliens hadn't noticed the ship at first, focused instead on Earth's smaller fleets below. But that changed quickly. The U.S. Titan opened fire, and the first shot rang out like thunder, the energy beam slicing through space with deadly precision. The alien ships, unaware of the ship's capabilities, were caught off guard. The energy beam struck one of the alien warships, and to everyone's surprise, it exploded in a bright flash. The humans in the command center held their breath. They couldn't believe it. The U.S. Titan had just destroyed one of the enemy's ships in a single shot. The alien forces, stunned by the sudden attack, scrambled to retaliate. They fired back with their own weapons, but the U.S. Titan was faster, more agile, and its shields were nearly impenetrable. Each time an alien ship tried to fire, the U.S. Titan dodged and returned fire with even greater force. Within minutes, the U.S. Titan had disabled several alien ships, leaving the invaders confused and disoriented. Earth's military leaders watched in disbelief as the ship they had built in secret began to tear through the alien armada. For the first time in this terrifying conflict, the aliens realized they were not facing an easy victory. Humanity's greatest weapon had just shown them that they were not as invincible as they thought. The battle had only just begun, but already the U.S. Titan had proven that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. And in the cold void of space, the alien commanders knew they were in for a fight unlike anything they had ever imagined. The battle between Earth's U.S. Titan and the invading alien armadas continued to rage across the vastness of space. The alien ships, once confident in their overwhelming superiority, were now struggling to keep up with the might of humanity's latest weapon. The U.S. Titan had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, but the alien forces were not ones to back down easily. As the U.S. Titan moved through the battlefield, its weapons fired with deadly precision, each shot landing with the kind of force that sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. The massive ships that had once appeared indestructible were now beginning to show signs of weakness. Smoke billowed from the damaged hulls of several alien warships, and debris floated freely in the cold vacuum of space. The alien commanders, once so sure of their victory, were now frantically trying to regroup and devise a new plan. Their superior numbers had been their greatest strength, but against the advanced weaponry and agility of the U.S. Titan, their numbers were quickly becoming irrelevant. "We need to overwhelm them," said the alien general, his voice cold and filled with frustration. "Send in the smaller ships. Use speed and numbers to break through their defenses. We'll crush them from all sides." The alien fleet responded immediately. Smaller, faster ships were deployed in an attempt to surround the U.S. Titan. These ships were designed for speed, and their maneuverability made them difficult targets. The aliens hoped that by surrounding the human warship, they would be able to disable its powerful weapons and take it down before it could do any more damage. The U.S. Titan crew, however, was ready. The ship's advanced AI, capable of processing millions of calculations per second, quickly adjusted to the new threat. As the smaller alien ships closed in, the U.S. Titan maneuvered with incredible precision, darting between the enemies and dodging their attacks. Each time an alien ship fired, the U.S. Titan's shields absorbed the blow, barely flinching as the weapons bounced harmlessly off its surface. The smaller alien ships tried to regroup, attempting to encircle the U.S. Titan, but the warship's offensive capabilities were far more advanced than the aliens had anticipated. One by one, the small ships were destroyed, their hulls exploding into bright flashes of light as the U.S. Titan fired another devastating round. "We can't let this happen," the alien general barked, slamming his fist onto the control panel. He watched in disbelief as his ships were wiped out one by one. The human warship was proving to be an enemy unlike any they had ever faced before. Its technology, its speed, its firepower, it was all too much for the alien forces to handle. In a final attempt to break the human ship's defenses, the aliens launched their most advanced fighters, the elite forces of their fleet. These ships were armed with the most powerful weapons the aliens had, designed specifically to destroy the toughest opponents. But again, the U.S. Titan was ready. The elite fighters came at the U.S. Titan with everything they had, firing lasers, missiles, and energy beams. But the U.S. Titan's shields were stronger than ever. The ship moved with such precision that the alien fighters couldn't keep up. One by one, they fell, their ships ripped apart by the U.S. Titan's superior firepower. The alien general watched in horror as his best forces were decimated. The U.S. Titan was proving unstoppable, and no matter how many ships he sent, it seemed like nothing could break through the human defenses. His strategy was failing, and for the first time in his career, he wondered if they had underestimated humanity's strength. The alien fleet was in chaos, their carefully crafted plans crumbling before their eyes. The U.S. Titan, a symbol of humanity's unexpected might, had turned the tide of battle. The aliens were now the ones on the defensive, their once proud armadas now scattered and broken. The alien armadas were reeling. The battle had taken an unexpected turn, and the once confident invaders were now finding themselves on the defensive. Despite their overwhelming numbers, they couldn't break through the U.S. Titan's defenses. Each attempt to surround the human warship, each strike they launched, ended in failure. The alien general, who had once led his forces with certainty, was now filled with frustration and doubt. "We have to end this now," the alien general muttered to himself, his fingers tapping nervously on the command console. His fleet was crumbling, and the U.S. Titan was proving to be far more powerful than he had ever imagined. The general's mind raced, searching for a solution. He had never faced an opponent like this, one that fought back with such unexpected strength and determination. "Reinforcements," the general barked. "We need reinforcements, and we need them now." His voice echoed through the command deck, his words laced with urgency. The alien fleet had already sent in their elite forces, their best ships, but even they couldn't breach the U.S. Titan's defenses. The human warship was simply too advanced, too agile, and its firepower too deadly. The general's mind worked quickly. Desperation was setting in. If they didn't find a way to defeat the U.S. Titan, their invasion would fail, and their entire fleet would be wiped out. The general turned to his advisors, his eyes filled with cold resolve. "We will use the last of our powerful weapons. We must unleash everything we have, even if it means sacrificing some of our ships. We cannot afford to lose this battle." Without hesitation, the alien commanders activated their most devastating weapon, an experimental superweapon designed to strike fear into even the most powerful enemies. It was a weapon of mass destruction, capable of unleashing an energy blast so powerful it could wipe out entire fleets in an instant. The alien forces began to charge the weapon, preparing to launch it at the U.S. Titan. Back on Earth, General Karen Lee watched the unfolding events with a heavy heart. The reports had come in that the aliens were preparing something big. Her team was on edge, knowing that the U.S. Titan had to face whatever the aliens were planning. The stakes had never been higher. "We can't let them use that weapon," General Lee said, her voice firm. "If they launch it, we're done for." The crew aboard the U.S. Titan worked feverishly to prepare for the alien attack. The ship's advanced AI analyzed the situation, calculating every possible outcome. The U.S. Titan had already proved its might, But now it was time to face the full force of the aliens' desperation. The weapon charged, its power growing with each passing second. The alien armadas had placed all their hopes in this final strike, believing that it would finally break the U.S. Titan and lead them to victory. With a blinding flash, the superweapon fired. But the U.S. Titan was ready. In the blink of an eye, the ship's shields flared to life, absorbing the blast in a stunning display of strength. The energy surged around the U.S. Titan, but the shields held. The human warship, battered but not broken, remained in one piece. General Lee stared at the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. The U.S. Titan had survived. The aliens had thrown everything they had at it, and yet the ship had held its ground. For the alien general, the realization hit hard. His forces had failed. Humanity was not an enemy to be underestimated, and the U.S. Titan had proven it. With the superweapon now exhausted, the alien fleet was on the verge of collapse. The desperate hope they had clung to was gone. They had underestimated Earth, and now the battle was slipping from their hands. The battlefield in space had gone quiet, the eerie stillness hanging in the air as both sides prepared for what would come next. The U.S. Titan had withstood the full force of the alien superweapon, leaving the invaders stunned and confused. The energy blast that should have torn through the human warship's shields had instead been absorbed, leaving the U.S. Titan unharmed. The alien fleet, once so sure of its victory, was now faltering, its commanders struggling to make sense of the unexpected turn of events. The alien general, who had led his forces with great confidence, sat alone in his command room, staring at the image of the U.S. Titan on his screen. The human warship hovered in space, still intact, its weapons at the ready. He couldn't comprehend it. No civilization he had encountered had ever been able to withstand such an attack. The Earth forces were far weaker in number, yet they had managed to outlast everything the aliens had thrown at them. His mind raced as he thought back to the beginning of the invasion. He had believed the victory was inevitable. The alien armadas, equipped with the most advanced technology in the galaxy, were more than capable of conquering any planet. Earth had been a small, unassuming target, a simple and easy conquest for the armadas. He had expected to crush the humans without much effort, but the humans had proven him wrong. The alien general's thoughts turned to his own fleet. How many of his ships had been destroyed in the last few hours? How many of his best fighters had been taken down by a single human warship? He had seen it all. The U.S. Titan dodging their attacks with agility they couldn't understand, retaliating with firepower that outmatched their most advanced ships. The human crew, determined and brave, had shown no signs of fear. The general couldn't fathom how such a small young species could possess such strength. He couldn't deny it any longer. The humans were not as weak as he had believed. They had something more, something that made them different from the other species the alien empire had conquered. It wasn't just their technology. It wasn't just their weaponry or their warships. It was something deeper, something the general had never fully understood until now. The general stood up and paced around the room. A sense of doubt crept into his mind, something he had never experienced before. He had always been the one in control, always confident in his ability to crush any enemy in his path. But now, as he watched the U.S. Titan continue to fight back, he was beginning to question everything he thought he knew about warfare, about strength, and about the human race. The U.S. Titan had already proven that it could survive. But what was even more surprising was that the humans aboard the ship weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something more. The general had seen the humans' determination, their resilience. Even with their backs against the wall, they hadn't given up. They had stood strong, using every resource at their disposal to defend their planet. And now, as he watched the destruction of his fleet unfold before his eyes, the general realized one painful truth. The humans had something he could never have: heart. They were willing to fight, to sacrifice everything, to protect what they loved. The general's gaze hardened. It was clear that the invasion had failed, but one thing remained: the alien empire's pride. Would he admit defeat and leave the humans to their victory? Or would he fight until the very end? The alien armadas, once so certain of their victory, were now reeling from the failure of their most powerful weapon. The U.S. Titan had absorbed the alien superweapon's blast without so much as a scratch, leaving the invaders in shock. But the battle was far from over. In the cold vacuum of space, both sides prepared for what would come next. The humans, led by their seemingly indestructible warship, were more determined than ever to defend Earth. But the aliens, desperate and refusing to surrender, were not yet done. The alien general had retreated into his quarters, his mind filled with frustration and confusion. He had underestimated humanity and their technology, but now he had one last trick up his sleeve. The general turned to his command console, his fingers moving quickly across the controls as he gave a final order to his fleet. "We have one last weapon," the general muttered, his voice cold. "Prepare it." This was a weapon unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Hidden deep within the alien armada, it was a device so powerful that it could alter the very fabric of space itself. The aliens had kept it a secret, waiting for the right moment to unleash it. Now, that moment had arrived. The U.S. Titan was still engaged in battle, taking down alien ships with ease. Its crew, though exhausted, remained focused, their eyes on the prize. Victory. The warship systems were still operating at full capacity, its advanced AI analyzing every movement of the enemy fleet. But as the crew made their plans for the next move, they had no idea what was about to come. As the alien armadas regrouped, the alien general activated the hidden weapon. In an instant, a dark energy field erupted from the core of the enemy fleet. It spread outwards, distorting space around it. The field was unlike anything the humans had ever encountered. It was a weapon designed to disable anything in its path, neutralizing shields, energy sources, and technology. For a moment, the U.S. Titan appeared to be unaffected. Its systems hummed steadily, and its weapons remained at the ready. But then, something strange began to happen. The U.S. Titan's shields flickered, and its engines started to sputter. The energy field was affecting the very core of the warship systems. The U.S. Titan was slowing down, its movements less fluid than before. Inside the warship, the crew began to panic as their advanced systems began to fail. "What's happening?" General Lee shouted as alarms blared throughout the command center. "What is this weapon?" The AI quickly began working to understand the nature of the field, but it was unlike any threat it had encountered. The U.S. Titan was vulnerable, and for the first time since the battle began, the human warship was at a serious disadvantage. "We need to get out of here. We can't fight this," one of the crew members shouted, fear creeping into his voice. But General Lee wasn't about to give up. She knew that this was Earth's last chance. The U.S. Titan might have been caught off guard, but it was still humanity's best weapon. "We'll figure it out," she said, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "We can't back down now. We're not losing this fight." The crew worked in a panic, trying to reroute power, re-engage the shields, and get the ship's engines back online. But the alien weapon was pushing them to their limits, threatening to disable the U.S. Titan once and for all. But General Lee had never been one to give up. With a fierce determination, she gave her crew one order that would change the tide of the battle. "Find a way to reverse this. We're not going down today." As the energy field continued to distort space around them, the crew of the U.S. Titan struggled to regain control. The fate of Earth rested in their hands, and they would not surrender. The alien fleet was not backing down. The U.S. Titan had proven to be a formidable force, but the alien general had one final card to play. His super weapon had momentarily shaken the human warship, but it wasn't enough to win the battle. The aliens were growing desperate. They had failed to break through the U.S. Titan's defenses, and their best fighters had been destroyed. The alien general knew that if they didn't act quickly, their entire invasion would fail. His eyes narrowed as he gazed at the human warship on the screen, still operational despite the damage it had taken. The U.S. Titan was a symbol of human strength, and it was clear that the warship was more than just a machine. It was a representation of the humans' determination to protect their planet. The general had underestimated them from the start, but now, with his forces dwindling, he had no choice but to escalate. "Deploy the full fleet," the alien general ordered, his voice cold and sharp. "We are not losing to these creatures. Send in everything we have left. It's now or never." The command was given. Dozens of ships, large and small, surged forward from the depths of the alien armadas. These were not just any ships. These were the elite of the alien forces, the most advanced, the deadliest. These ships had been built for this very moment. Their weapons were designed to pierce through even the strongest defenses, and they carried the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. As the alien ships closed in on the U.S. Titan, the crew aboard the human warship braced for the worst. The U.S. Titan was still recovering from the effects of the alien superweapon, but it had managed to regain control. Its shields flickered back to life, and its engines roared as it prepared to face the incoming onslaught. "We're not giving up," General Lee shouted, her voice filled with determination. "The U.S. Titan may be battered, but it's still standing, and we're going to make sure it stays that way. Focus fire on their lead ships. We take down their strongest first." The crew of the U.S. Titan followed her orders, firing with everything they had. Laser beams shot out from the ship, targeting the alien ships in the front of the formation. The first few alien ships were hit, their shields failing under the intensity of the attack. Explosions ripped through their hulls as the U.S. Titan tore through their defenses. But the aliens were not about to give up. Their elite fighters returned fire, launching missiles and energy beams at the U.S. Titan. The alien ships moved with speed and precision, trying to surround the human warship and overwhelm it with sheer numbers. The U.S. Titan weaved and dodged, narrowly avoiding the alien attacks, but the pressure was mounting. Every time it destroyed one of their ships, two more took its place. The battle was turning into a deadly dance, humanity's finest ship against the full force of the alien armadas. The humans had fought back with everything they had, but the alien forces were relentless, pushing forward with fury and determination. "We need more firepower," one of the officers called out, looking at the damage reports. The U.S. Titan had taken heavy hits, but it was still standing. It wasn't over yet. General Lee stood at the command console, her mind working at full speed. The U.S. Titan was exhausted, but so were the aliens. The final blow had to come soon. She couldn't let her crew down. She couldn't let Earth down. "We can do this," she said, rallying her crew. "We have the strength. We have the will. Let's finish this." The U.S. Titan fired again, hitting the alien ships with deadly accuracy. The aliens, now in full retreat, had underestimated the humans, and they knew it was too late to turn the tide. The battle wasn't over, but the end was in sight. The battle in the depths of space had reached its peak. The U.S. Titan, battered but unbroken, was locked in a fierce struggle against the elite alien forces. The once confident armadas, now in disarray, had launched everything they had at Earth's last line of defense. Yet the U.S. Titan stood strong, its weapons firing relentlessly at the advancing alien ships. The alien general, his hands shaking with frustration, watched from his command center. His once mighty fleet was being torn apart before his eyes. Ships that had been sent to overwhelm the human warship were now nothing but smoldering wrecks floating in space. The U.S. Titan had proven itself more than capable of handling the alien onslaught, and the humans were not backing down. "This can't be happening," the alien general muttered, his voice barely audible. "They're supposed to be weak. How are they doing this?" His elite fighters, the last of his best ships, had failed. The U.S. Titan had expertly dodged every attack, countering with overwhelming firepower. For every alien ship destroyed, more humans seemed to rise up to take their place, fighting with an intensity the general had never encountered before. It was as though the humans were fueled by something beyond technology or strategy. It was something deeper, something the general couldn't quite grasp. But now, as the U.S. Titan continued to destroy alien ship after alien ship, the alien general began to see the inevitable. His forces were crumbling. The few remaining ships had no chance of victory against the human warship, and he knew it. Desperation set in. "Retreat," the alien general ordered, his voice cold but defeated. "Pull back. All remaining forces, retreat immediately." The command spread across the alien armadas like wildfire. Ships, once organized and fierce, now turned away in disarray. The human victory was near. As the last of the alien ships began to flee, General Lee of the U.S. Titan watched in disbelief. The battle was over. Earth had won. The U.S. Titan's crew, though exhausted, cheered. It had been a brutal fight, but they had held their ground. General Lee, standing at the command center, allowed herself a small smile, but she knew the work was not yet done. The alien threat had been pushed back, but Earth's victory was hard-earned. There would be much to rebuild, much to learn from this battle. She looked out the view screen at the vast expanse of space, where the once mighty alien armadas were now retreating, their pride shattered. The humans had proven that they were not to be underestimated. They had shown the galaxy what they were capable of when pushed to the edge. "Prepare to follow them," General Lee ordered. "We can't let them regroup. We finish this here." The U.S. Titan powered up its engines and began to chase the retreating fleet. The battle might have been won, but the war wasn't over. There were still questions that needed answers, and the humans had no intention of letting their enemy escape. But in the distance, the alien general, watching his remaining forces flee, couldn't shake the thought that this war would be remembered. The humans had done something that no one, not even the most powerful empires in the galaxy, had ever expected. The U.S. Titan had been their turning point. Earth had proven its strength, and for the first time, the galaxy realized that humanity was no longer just a fledgling species. It was a force to be reckoned with. The alien armadas had been defeated. The U.S. Titan, Earth's shining symbol of hope, had crushed the might of the invaders with firepower and determination no one had expected. But as the alien fleet retreated into the darkness of space, General Lee knew that their victory, though decisive, had only just begun to change the fate of humanity. The retreating ships left a trail of destruction behind them, their damaged hulls drifting silently in the void. The alien general, who had once been so confident in his forces, had learned a painful lesson. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The general had watched as the U.S. Titan picked off alien ships one by one, each destruction further weakening the alien resolve. The sheer resilience of the humans, their unwillingness to surrender, was something the alien forces had never anticipated. General Lee stood at the bridge of the U.S. Titan, watching the retreating ships fade into the distance. She was exhausted, the battle having taken a toll on her crew and the ship itself. Yet, a sense of pride surged within her. Earth had fought back against a force far stronger than itself and emerged victorious. For the first time, humanity had earned the respect of the universe. She knew that the alien forces would regroup, perhaps even return with greater strength. This victory wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. But one thing was clear. Earth had now proven itself as a capable power, one that would not be easily defeated. Humanity had shown that it was willing to fight for its survival, no matter the cost. "We have to be ready for whatever comes next," General Lee said, her voice steady. "This victory is just the first step. We need to prepare for the future." Her crew nodded in agreement. The battle had shown them the strength of the U.S. Titan and the heart of humanity. The ship, battered but still standing, was a reminder of the tenacity and creativity that had kept humanity alive, even when faced with the impossible. In the days that followed, Earth began to rebuild. News of the victory spread across the planet, and the people of Earth celebrated their survival. They had faced destruction, but they had refused to give up. The U.S. Titan became a symbol not just of military might, but of human ingenuity and willpower. But General Lee knew that Earth's new strength was not just in its weapons, but in its unity. The alien forces had been shocked by humanity's ability to stand together, to fight for their planet and their future. It wasn't just technology that had won the battle. It was the human spirit. As Earth moved forward, humanity would have to confront more challenges, more battles that tested their strength. But now, they stood on equal ground with the galaxy's most powerful empires. Earth had proven that it could defend itself, and the aliens now knew that they could not conquer Earth easily. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity had claimed its place in the stars. The U.S. Titan was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol of everything humanity had fought for, and everything it was capable of achieving. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth would never be the same. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, and it would fight to protect it, no matter the cost. The victory over the alien armadas had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Earth, once considered a backwater planet, had proven itself to be a force not to be underestimated. The U.S. Titan, with its advanced technology and brave crew, had delivered a blow to the invading aliens that no one had seen coming. The battle had been fierce, but now, as the alien fleets scattered into the unknown, a new era for humanity began. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. People celebrated, but they also understood that the road ahead would not be easy. The alien general may have retreated for now, but it was clear that the invasion wasn't over. The alien forces would regroup, and humanity had no illusions about their next moves. The U.S. Titan and its crew had made a mark, but the war for Earth's future had only just begun. In the command center aboard the U.S. Titan, General Lee stood with her officers, reviewing the damage reports. The ship had held up surprisingly well, but repairs were needed. More importantly, the technology aboard the U.S. Titan had provided humanity with an unprecedented advantage. They now had weapons, shields, and defensive strategies that would make any potential invaders think twice. General Lee looked out the window at the stars, her thoughts racing. We've won a battle, but the war isn't over. We need to be ready for the next wave, whenever it comes. The officers around her nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. Earth had fought valiantly, but they knew the galaxy was vast, and the alien armadas were not the only threat out there. The victory had changed everything, but it had also opened new doors to challenges humanity wasn't prepared for yet. One of the officers spoke up, breaking the silence. "General, we've received reports from other nations. The whole world is coming together. The victory of the U.S. Titan has sparked unity on Earth. We're stronger than we've ever been." General Lee gave a faint smile, but it didn't last. Unity was important, but it was only the first step. Humanity needed more than just unity. It needed knowledge, technology, and alliances. The U.S. Titan had shown the world that Earth could defend itself, but the humans knew that they couldn't face every enemy alone. "The next step is to learn from this victory," General Lee said, turning back to the officers. "We need to understand the alien technology we've gathered. We need to find allies. And we need to continue strengthening Earth's defenses." Over the next few weeks, the Earth governments united more than ever before. They shared technology, information, and resources, working together to ensure that they were ready for any threat. The U.S. Titan was not just a symbol of Earth's military strength. It had become a cornerstone of humanity's future. But as humanity began to rebuild and prepare for whatever might come next, they knew that they were no longer alone in the universe. The alien fleets would return, but Earth would be ready. The galaxy had just learned what Earth was capable of, and the humans were not about to let anyone forget. The U.S. Titan and its crew had shown the universe that humanity would never back down, that Earth was a planet with the strength to fight, to survive, and to protect its future. The battle had been won, but the story of humanity's rise had only just begun.